Hey everybody, Life Lessons Podcast. This is Doug Spence with Spence Life Coaching. Today I want to talk about questions. How we can use them, what they mean about us, what questions we're asking. So our questions, the questions we ask, first off, we all know, we've all heard about affirmations, and we all kind of know about our inner dialogue, the things that we say to ourselves, and they kind of reveal our programming and our history and our beliefs. And some of you may have tried using affirmations, and those work if those are okay, if you use them properly. But I've found that questions are much more powerful at shifting your focus, your awareness, and increasing your awareness. And I first learned about this in Tony Robbins' book. This was probably 24 years ago in the book Awaken the Giant Within. And he wrote a chapter about attention and focus, and he wrote, what am I focusing on? What am I focusing on? And how do I know where my focus is? And he realized he was asking a question. And questions will change our attention, our focus, and our mind is always going to find an answer to the question that we create. It's going to start searching. So our minds have a search function. So we basically enter the query and it starts creating a result. And just like ChatGPT, it may just make up things. But it's going to find something to put in as a result. So knowing this, you can choose and intentionally design questions that you want to find the answers to. Instead of asking questions that you don't want the answer to, such as, why do things never work out for me? Why am I so stupid? Why is my boss a jerk? Things that aren't really serving you. These questions aren't going to serve you. They're not going to make your life any better. They're not going to take you out of your painful state. So you can start designing questions that are a little more wise. Because questions reveal our level of awareness. The questions we ask reveal what we know. And we can start asking higher level questions. And the highest level questions would be those from an infinite perspective. Those would be the highest level of questions. And I'll tell you more about those. But first, let's just kind of look at different forms of questions. There's the 5 who, what, where, when, why, and then there's how. So the how questions, I find people get hung up on the how question. How questions can be somewhat limiting if they're not asked with real intention. If they're asked almost rhetorically, like, well, how am I ever going to do that? How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? And there's no faith in the answer. So how questions, unless the intention to finding out the answer is really strong, really committed to finding out the how, then be careful with those ones. So they can be really useful though. I mean, of course. The what questions are, I love what questions. What resources do I have available to me now? So if you feel like you're in a helpless position, ask yourself a what question. What resources are available to me now? This is where you really start to observe your environment. The what questions. Or what is possible for me? What is possible for my life? What is possible for others? And what is possible in this world? What questions really make you look objectively? We have when questions. When questions can be used to remind us of our past. We can use that to remind us of our abilities, of our capabilities. When have I done something in spite of being afraid? When have I taken action? And where was I when I took this action? This can help you, where and when can help you get very present in a moment in the past. And that's important, and we'll get more into that when we're talking about balancing or infinite level questions. Where and when help us to get present. Okay. Why questions can be very useful, but you may not get an answer right away. Those answers may take a while, but it's great to ask those why questions to help you dig deeper. Why questions and what questions are actually closely related. Why questions are more broad, and what questions get into the specifics. So, why am I here on Earth is a broad question, and you may not get the answer right away. What would I like to create here on Earth? What would I love to do is more specific. It can help you with the why question. Now, going back to my point about asking questions from an infinite perspective, what tends to happen is our minds will create a bias, and if we can expand our biases, our judgments, using balancing questions. Knowing that infinity is balanced, now we can ask balancing questions to help see more of our reality. So when something bad happens, quote bad, we perceive it as bad, we can ask the balancing question. What's the benefit to me? How is this benefiting me? How is this serving me? Or if we start to get hung up on or addicted to something we believe we perceive as positive, but we're missing out on the downside, we can ask a balancing question. How is this a drawback to me? What's the downside to this? Now when we ask these questions, we're asking the what questions. But sometimes we're typically not present in that moment. So we may have a bad memory. A memory where we were extremely challenged. So first, we want to go to that moment. We want to go to where and when you perceived the action. So you would ask, what was the action? What was the objective reality? What happened? What was the action or inaction? Go to the moment where and when you perceive that. Now, once you find yourself present in that moment, you can ask yourself, what was the benefit to me? Okay, this will help you raise your awareness of that moment. There's a subconscious memory or information. There's subconscious information that's in there that can be revealed to you. Or if we judge someone. So when I was 18, my life wasn't going so well. And before bed, I asked a question, my mind, whatever. I asked myself, how do I improve my life? How do I improve my life? And I really wanted that answer. I asked myself that question hundreds of times before I fell asleep. And as I was falling asleep, I was still thinking that thought. And then in my dream, I asked the question, and someone showed up in my dream that looked like my stepfather at the time. And my stepfather was the wisest person I knew. So he came in, and I asked him in my dream, how do I improve my life? And the answer surprised me. It was not what I was expecting. The answer was, do not judge. And that really, I was like, wow, okay. But the way it was said, it really hit me. And I took it in, and I decided I was going to do my best to not judge. And now I realize how limiting, when you judge someone or you judge yourself, how limiting that is. You're limiting the amount of information you're letting in your own mind. So when we judge someone, because we always have that tendency with our limited awareness and our limited capability to take in information, we're going to create judgments, we're going to create labels, we're going to put things in boxes. And whenever we don't see the full picture of reality, we're going to feel pain. We're going to feel maybe it's anger, or maybe it's fear, maybe it's intimidation. So we have to expand the box, expand our judgment to encompass more. And a question, you can use a who question. Who has perceived this person? So let's say I'm intimidated by someone because they're a fluent speaker or they're successful. Who has seen this person demonstrate or display the opposite? Okay, so who has seen this person do the opposite? So now I'm expanding my judgment of them. I've judged them as successful and all that. So now who has seen them do the opposite? So maybe this person's ex-wife has seen him do the opposite, right? Or maybe his kids have seen him do the opposite. So we start to see the whole picture. Or maybe we judge someone negatively, like this person is rude and critical. So who has seen him do the opposite, or pushy, or whatever? Who has seen him do the opposite? Who has seen him kind? Or who has seen her kind? Who has seen her gentle? And you'll start to realize that this person has two sides. The judgment was quite limited. And you can make yourself get more present with this moment as well. You can go to a moment where and when you have perceived this person doing or demonstrating and displaying the opposite. And you'll start to become, again, raise your awareness of that person. Getting a whole picture of that person. So what I'm showing you here are questions that are helping you see things from a higher perspective, from an infinite perspective. These questions are part of the DeMartini method. And the DeMartini method is one of the most powerful personal development tools I've discovered so far. I've mentioned it a few times. I'm a DeMartini facilitator, so I've been trained in the DeMartini method, and I use it in my coaching to help people to break through their baggage, break through their limitations. But even if you don't use the DeMartini method, you can start designing questions intentionally that are going to serve you better, that are going to help you to expand yourself, that are going to help you to raise your awareness and help you see more possibilities. So Life Lessons podcast, the life lesson for today is think about what questions you're asking yourself and start intentionally designing questions that are going to serve you. Write out 100 questions that you think are going to benefit you. All right, start designing your questions and start paying attention to what questions you're asking yourself, because you're creating your own focus, what you're focusing on. And you can intentionally just repeat questions without expecting much of an answer, and just letting, as you go through your day, information is going to be coming in. Your mind, your reticular activating system is going to start searching for those answers, for information related to those answers. Okay, your mind is a seeking device. So use it. It's a searching device. So use it to search for what you want versus searching for what you don't want. All right, put in the queries. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Life Lessons Podcast. Talk to you later. Bye.